My name is Thomas and I'm from the UK, and I've been in Korea now for 5 years and I work currently as a baker.
My name is Stanislav. I'm from Uzbekistan. I'm from batch 9, Wcoding, so aka Spring 2020. Currently I'm working at a startup, Seal Communications, as a junior backend developer.
My name is Josie and I'm from Britain and I've lived in Korea now for about 4 years. I actually did a little bit of website coding by myself as a hobby, but I didn't really take it very seriously and I wasn't happy with anything that I made. Yep, before I came to Wcoding, the main way that I studied was self-studying online, just using Google and Stack Overflow and various websites.
Not really, like very minor, because I studied some design as part of my bachelor's degree. So I had studied web design, but I didn't really know anything about the back-end development. So I knew some HTML, CSS, very basic things, but all the programming, nothing really. Yeah.
I would say I only scratched the surface. When I was studying in finance, we had courses like financial databases or computer programming in finance, so just a little bit. So I was interested in IT as well from university. So when I was actually working in a tobacco company, I was always thinking about what my life would be if I actually pursued, instead of finance, IT. So then I just decided one day to jump into IT.
Ever since university, I've always been very interested in learning web development, and doing full stack just seemed like the right option for me because I had already learned some front-end things with HTML, CSS, and I really wanted to understand, the whole picture and get like a good foundation in a little bit of everything. I think it's better to learn, a bit of everything. So the most interesting thing was probably working on our project. It was great to kind of all work together on something that we were all interested in.
The interesting part was I think the whole process was very interesting. Like for example, at the beginning, just to know the fundamentals, just to know how it actually works was very interesting as well. And also at the beginning of the course, when we were having a group project, it was also very interesting to see how the product is made while working in a team.
So the most interesting thing for me was learning new things and discovering that actually coding is not as difficult as I originally thought it was. I discovered that coding is mostly just a series of small puzzles, and you have to try and figure out those puzzles and put the different pieces together. So for me, it was really wonderful to gain that understanding.
I think at the beginning of the course was very hard, not just to learn and memorize all the fundamentals, but to really understand.
The difficult part was probably learning the programming fundamentals. When we started JavaScript, at first it's quite confusing to change the way you think to be more like a computer. So that was very new to me, but in the end it was okay, but definitely challenging.
The hardest thing was trying to understand some of the more abstract concepts, especially where it's stuff involving math, because my background doesn't really have any math. I was pretty scared about seeing these numbers in the code and being worried that I wouldn't understand how it works. But actually, it came a lot easier than I expected.
Yeah, I think, now I have a really good foundation to start to, really learn other things and progress my knowledge in certain areas.
Yes, I feel really confident in my development skills now. Of course, I know I have a lot to learn and a long way to go, but I'm much more confident in sharing my code now than I was before I did this course.
say I wasn't happy with what I was doing at my current job. I don't know, it just didn't give me the motivation, like every morning just to wake up and just to be genuinely enjoying and to be interested in what I'm doing. I was always thinking about, what would be my life be if I chose IT instead of finance. So that's why I actually decided to run a risk and jump into IT industry.
I would say the biggest changes for me personally are, first of all, that I feel like I can actually do this job, whereas before I did the course, I was so not confident in my skills that I did not ever see this as something I could do as a job, only as a hobby. But now, actually, I have done this as a job. My advice to anyone that's watching this is to please just try it. I know that it can seem really scary and risky, and especially if it's subjects that you've not really studied before or are very unfamiliar and a bit frightening. You just have to give it a go and try your best.
And then I would say, like, if you're really interested in IT and you're just wondering what it would be, like what your life would be, I would say, like, jump. Make the first step, because for me it's turned out very well, and I know a lot of stories as well that actually had this courage and made the first step and are enjoying this new life as a developer like me as well.
I think you definitely need to make sure that you have a lot of time to dedicate to it. It's not something that, you just study on and off. It's definitely, it takes up a lot of your time. You have to constantly study, and you get as much as you put into it, so definitely make sure that you are free to study.